Hi, this is Blair with the Live and Learn Gardening channel, and I am in Zone 8B in the Central Texas, specifically the Austin urban area. And I'm going to do a garden tour today, kind of walk you through things. And one thing I wanted to note on Zone 8B, Zone 8B is really about how cold it gets in the winter, and it kind of forgets to take into account the climate. It doesn't talk about how humid it is or how dry. It doesn't talk about how hot it gets in the summer. So here in Texas, we can get up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes for over 100 days. That's happened on a regular basis. So think of June, July, August, the first half of September could be really, really hot. And that's actually more what defines our climate than how cold it gets in the winter. This year it's been particularly wet, which I think has contributed to how wonderful and lush the garden is. And right now we're just in a really high growth mode because the garden is gotten a lot of water, mild climate today. It's 63 degrees this morning and it'll get up to 87. All right, let's get started. These peppers are wild this year. I'm so happy with them. Not all of them. Some of them probably just aren't getting enough sun, but look at these guys. I mean, that's unreal. That's basically ready to be picked. I'll have to find a recipe. I'm gonna have to start looking for recipes. There's a Hungarian dish I want to try that has sweet banana peppers in it. Try that first. My green beans, they are almost already about to bud. So we're getting very close to flowering on these. I couldn't be more happy that I actually have green beans this year. Oh, look at those guys. I mean, at least they're eating the dead part, but like, get out of my garden, pill bugs, really. The diatomaceous earth got them past the baby phase, the plants, and I think it did its job. I'm not sure it's necessarily working anymore, but like you can see this kind of damage right there. That's definitely, I'm pretty sure that's pill bug damage. I mean, there's a whole pile of them over here, um, right next to that plant. So, yeah, I mean, it's a constant struggle for me this year, in particular with all the rain, I think. I'm also going to have to come up with a recipe for celery. This is not my only celery plant, and it's doing really well. I also have so many ancho poblanos this year. There's a few bigger ones. I think I need to start pulling these guys off the plant. It hasn't gotten any bigger, and I think then these little guys will get a little more energy from the plant. But gosh, there's so many this year. That's incredible. This is my Genoese basil, and you can kind of see the difference here. I think this is cardinal basil. It's got a different stem, and the leaf is just a little bit different. It's a really interesting plant. I mean, let's see. This one, it's got almost more like a floral smell to it versus this guy is just your classic basil. And more leafy. This has got almost a floral smell to it, and it's really lovely. Um, shishito peppers. I'm going to need to pull another set of these off. God, pill bugs are everywhere today. Especially off of this plant. I mean, look at this guy. I think they're going to be a little smaller this time. The first batch were a little bit bigger, but there's so many on the plant. There's just a little bit smaller. I also saw a ladybug on here this morning. Oh, there she is. Or she or he. Ladybug does not necessarily mean female. There we go. And I have noticed a few aphids on this plant, but the ladybugs seem to be doing their job. So if I see a concentration of them, I'll knock them off, but I think the ladybugs are pretty much taking care of this plant for me. And so like you'll see a little bit of damage on the leaves and stuff. That's probably from aphids or something like that, but I think the ladybugs are doing their job and the plant isn't overall suffering, which is great. This marigold is doing great, maybe almost too good, just all things considered. It's crowding the shishito a little bit. I think I just didn't think this guy was going to get very big. I've not had a marigold get this big in a really long time. I thought it would be a little dinky plant, and it is not. It's one of the most beautiful marigold plants I've ever had. It's blocking out my shishito a little bit, but I mean, so are these tomatoes, so hard to say which is which. Now this was, let me back up and show you. This was actually perfectly intentional. I grew these tomato bushes right here specifically to actually shield these pepper plants in the summer from too much direct sun. So this is kind of like a shade cloth that I have built for these guys. Texas summer, as I said, gets really, really hot, and it's an experiment. I mean, gardening is always an experiment, but that's my experiment this year. This is my shade cloth for my pepper plants, and also this tree up here. This is a pecan tree. I've thought about trimming it back a little, but at least earlier in the summer, it was getting this bed was getting a fair amount of dappled sunlight, and I'm just going to kind of keep monitoring it and make sure this is getting enough sun, but not too much, because the peppers will start to scorch if they get too hot, and the plants just they prefer a nice moderate California climate, not Texas. All right, so let's talk about the tomatoes. They are out of control. I don't know if you can see. I had this beautiful, sweet little trellis going through here in the middle, and then I started putting in these bamboo stakes because the plant was getting so tall. So that trellis, to give you an idea, is about 4 feet tall, and the tomatoes are just completely beyond it now. This one's doing great. This sun gold cherry tomato is doing really well. I've actually pulled off one yesterday. It just started to blush orange, and I thought, oh, the squirrels are going to be after it. So I pulled that off, but there's tomatoes throughout the plant, and there's lots more blooms at the top, which makes me think this one's going to be fine. And absolutely this yellow plum. Just so many fruits all the way through here. So this is my experiment this year where I'm cutting back some of the suckers, but not nearly as many as I used to. I used to not let even, like I'll take this guy off, and this guy off, and this guy off. And this guy over here, that guy, because these are down at the base, and probably this guy too. But I've already let it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 main stalks from the bottom, and I'm okay with that this year. One of my goals is to just experiment and see if trimming off all the limbs is really the right call, or maybe not in this case. But yeah, you'll see how it's branching all the way out this way, and I've tied it to a few bamboo stakes. But the tomatillos, I think they've turned a corner. I don't know if it was how wet it was, but I've seen a few starting to form. Like this guy's coming off, it's yellow, looks like it probably didn't get fertilized, but this one looks like it's going to produce a fruit, so I think we're good there.
It's a beautiful oregano plant. So I want to take this opportunity to talk to you about diseases that you find on your tomato plant, especially in the lower leaves. You'll see here I'm pulling off a branch that has yellowing leaves. That's probably early season blight, or it could be too much water from recent rain, but I do think it's probably early blight. And the main goal is to take off the leaves that are damaged.
Some little fruits on here, which is fabulous. And I'm sure a few more of these. We'll just give them a little tap. Make sure we get all the fruits we can get. Some more up here. Yeah, I'm just going through and taking off these leaves that look a little bit diseased. This is my mint. I'm going to have to come in here and really trim this out. I've been really lax in letting it kind of grow this year. I've got it, pulled it out of the bed and stuff like that. This is a concrete exterior here, and so it's not in the bed per se, but it'll put these little tendrils out, and then I just pull them out. That guy didn't even have a chance to form roots yet, but I'll pull them out on a regular basis. I just come in here and kind of maintain. It's like weeding, but it's a known weed and a weed that I'm kind of allowing. So there's that. The blackberries. Oh yeah, I was gonna check this morning and I hadn't gotten around to it yet. Do we have any? Oh, there we go. Oh, not ready. So this guy's not ready. You can tell because it's still got a little bit of, I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but it's still got a little bit of red at the back. And I could pull this off, and I may even, just because the birds or squirrels or something have been grabbing them all, but that's not ready yet. It's got that little hint of red that's going to be pretty bitter. But again, I may pick it anyway. And there's quite a few more red ones. And there's quite a few more red ones there. And we'll just keep an eye on those and wait for them to turn black, and then we'll eat them. Okay, so the diatomaceous earth either didn't work or I didn't put enough. Maybe I should have put out more oranges. Obviously, all the orange peels are gone. I think an animal was coming in and getting the orange peels. And then the diatomaceous earth was sort of helping. But on this one, it does not seem to have worked out. So I guess I get to plant more seeds, or maybe I'm going to start one in a little pot and then transplant. This eggplant's doing quite well. The strawberry's doing well, except for all of the berries that it produced keep getting stripped off of it. This is some wheat seed. This is actually from this straw that I put in. So what I do is I just come in and pull it out like any other weed. This guy, definitely, this eggplant is, let me get you a better view there. So this eggplant's got these beautiful purple flowers. It hasn't actually formed a fruit yet, but I think it's really close to forming its first, wait, maybe. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's our first fruit. We'll see how that turns out. I don't remember what kind of eggplant this is. So now, whether the diatomaceous earth worked or not, this is my little sugar baby watermelon. So I at least had one survivor so far. There's quite a bit of diatomaceous earth around here. I don't know if it worked or not, but there's tons over here too. It is a little bit more in the bedding, but my little melon didn't work out. The Maturas, but we'll see. Oh, these guys. Okay, so they're starting to change colors, and I'm really curious because this one's turning kind of like a purple. This one's like a red. There's an orange in there in the middle. It did say it came in multiple colors. I don't know if it's just going to turn orange and then it'll turn red, whether this one will actually turn purple or whether it will just turn orange. We'll see. But it's supposed to be real pretty. That's why I put it right here at the edge of my garden, because it's supposed to be a really pretty plant. And sometimes we just want to come out and see something pretty in our garden. This is my sweet potato bed and also my garlic bed. I tried digging in to see if these garlic were ready, and they've got a very small bulb on them. I don't know if I did something wrong or whether it's just they're not ready yet. This is not garlic. This is a weed. But I don't know if I did something wrong or not, but we'll find out. I'm going to leave them a little while longer and see if they start to bulb. This is my sweet potato bed. There are, I think, 6 plants in here. I did find some pill bugs on them this morning, but just a few, and it definitely seems like a lot less aggressive from the pill bug front than when I had true potatoes in here. So, oh, I did want to show you. The Johnson grass, it's still over there, okay? I'm going to be honest, it's still right there, but I went through and weeded just one little section so that I could feel accomplished and maybe motivated to weed another section. That one's probably going to be next, or over there on my flower bed. We'll see. But I wanted to give this one little section a shot and then maybe feel motivated to weed the rest of the Johnson grass. Right, here is my zucchini bed, and this is pretty awesome. I'm gonna see if you can, yeah, you can see through the netting there. Let me get you in there. So there's so many zucchini in here. There's 1, 2, I just pulled one off yesterday. I think there's 3 right there that you can see, and then over there, I mean, there's just tons of them. There's all this patty pan squash, and I'm gonna have to figure out recipes for squash really soon because I've already got 3 in my fridge, and we're just getting more and more. All right, and this is my crookneck, but this plant's doing really well, and it's just the best I've ever had for sure. Look at all those flowers too. Even more. I think most of those are actually female flowers. Yeah, look at that. There's just tons of them on there. For those of you struggling with vine borers, I really highly recommend this netting approach. You do have to manually go in and fertilize, and I've missed a few because I've been out of town or it was raining and I missed a couple of days, but I highly recommend this row cover stuff. It has made a world of difference. It's the biggest plants I've ever had, and they're really the happiest plants. And I'm actually really glad. This was another situation where I actually planted less than I had intended to. There's only 3 plants in here. Well, technically I think there's 2 little yellow crooknecks there. That one right there in the middle is a patty pan, and it's huge. It's like taking over the whole bed. I'm glad it had extra space. And then that guy over there is I think it's called cabeza or something like that. It's like a green and white striped zucchini, and that plant's gotten really big too. But I'm glad I ended up only with technically about 3 plants in here. Those 2 are taking about the space of about 1. Um, I had originally planned, I think, to put 4 or 5, and that would have just been way too many. I think it was 4 that I'd originally intended, but the one that was right there died out, and that worked out perfectly because the rest of the plants are huge. So that's awesome. This is plum. It's not going to have any plums on it this year. And here's just my eggplants. This is probably the eggplant that's doing the best. I think it just didn't get too much pest pressure, and overall has been the healthiest.
I think one of the most startling things for me to realize as a gardener was that some plants are just going to do better than others, no matter whether they have the exact same conditions as a plant, maybe even right next to them. So that's just, two plants next to each other. They are 2 different varieties, but one is doing so much better than the other. You gotta just imagine it's the environment too.
These peppers are so big, it's crazy. Oh, and this little guy, hi little flower. This one I started from seed that I really didn't think was going to make it, but actually saved these seeds from my sister-in-law. Had one of these snapdragon plants, and they were hot pink, and I thought, why not? Let's try it out. Basil is obviously doing really well still. I'll probably need to plant a second plant just because this will eventually bolt in the summer. And I really trimmed back these nostrums. They were just getting really out of control. And I think it'll give them some healthy new life. The strawberries are still doing well, though I'm still not getting strawberries. But I did go through and just really kind of clean out these and just kind of give them a little more space for each of the plants to grow and trim out some of the kind of dead weight that especially was coming from the nostrums. Like this was all brown all the way down to here. And I just trimmed them back and kind of, 1, it makes it look prettier, and 2, it gives the plants more space. One thing that was interesting, I ended up moving this guy in here because something literally took out. I think I had 5 sweet potatoes in here, and now there are only 2. So I moved this into my greenhouse. Seems to have solved the problem. I'm also at night, I'm putting this red basket over it. I think it's like a raccoon or something, so only raccoon would be quite big enough to do that.
As I finish walking through my greenhouse here, I just wanted to thank y'all for hanging out with me, for walking through my garden, and I hope it inspires you. I hope it gets you excited about getting out there and getting your hands dirty. There will always be bumps in the road, but I hope my kind of honest look at what gardening really means will help you get going. Thanks. Bye.